Hi, I'm Miss Emily, and I'm here to do Children's Chapel today since we can't have it in the church, and also since the Epiphany pageant was canceled, I thought I would share a short lesson with you. We'll get started the same way we do when we're all together, which is with the Lord's Prayer. So if you can fold your hands, and we'll follow along with our book here. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. All right, so today in church, we talked a lot about Jesus' baptism. Did you know that Jesus was baptized? Were you baptized, or have you seen a baptism of either a baby or a kid or an adult? I'm gonna read the story first, and then I'll talk a little bit more about baptism. But one of the people in our story, in the Bible story today, is John the Baptist. Do you remember this guy? Some of you guys colored a picture, or you read the story in Sunday school. John the Baptist was the same one that we talked about with, remember we talked about Zechariah a few weeks ago. He's the baby that was crying in the church and wouldn't stop crying. And then also, he was the baby who was in Elizabeth's tummy when we talked about Mary visiting Elizabeth. So John the Baptist, he's this guy in our story right here. You listen for his name when I read the story today. While Jesus was living in Galilee, his cousin, John the Baptist, was preaching out in the country of Judea. The people loved John and came to see and hear him whenever they could. Sometimes crowds of people came to see John by the Jordan River. When the crowds came, John would tell them, "Change what needs changing in your life. God's kingdom is here." The people would promise to change their lives, and then John would baptize them to show that they were a new person in God's eyes. "I baptize you on the outside with plain old water from the Jordan River, but this is nothing compared to what and who is coming," John would exclaim. "The one who is coming will baptize you with God's own Spirit. With God's Spirit, you will be changed from the inside out." While John was saying this, Jesus appeared. And I forgot to say in the beginning that Jesus in this story is an adult. He was about 30 years old, so he's no longer a baby like our other stories. While John was saying this, Jesus appeared. He asked John to baptize him, but John wasn't so sure. "What? Me? Baptize you? I think it should be the other way around," John said, but Jesus insisted. "Do it, John. God does amazing things in baptism." So John did what Jesus asked and baptized him. All the way under the water in the Jordan River, Jesus went. When he splashed up out of the river, Jesus saw the skies open up, and he saw God's Spirit. It looked like a dove, gracefully floating down to land on him. There was a voice, too. The voice said, "This is my son. He has been chosen and marked by my love. He is the great joy of my life." So, like I said, Jesus, when he was baptized, he was an adult. He was about your parents' age. In the church, sometimes we baptize little babies, or sometimes kids, and sometimes adults. Maybe, have you ever seen a baptism in the church with Reverend Peter or Reverend Patty? When we do a baptism in the church, there is the person who's going to be baptized, and they come up to the front of the church, and Reverend Peter will pour water into the baptismal font. And in the church, we will all reaffirm the baptismal covenant. And then Reverend Peter will hold the baby, or if it's an adult, it could be an adult too, or a kid. And he uses a shell. In our church, we use a shell to put water on to the person's head. And then we'll say some prayers, and then Reverend Peter or Patty will seal the baby with some oil, the baby or adult or kid. And next week in the church, hopefully we'll all be able to get back together because there is a baptism next week. So hopefully you'll be able to see it either in the sanctuary here or maybe from home if you're able to watch at home. But I hope that we can get back together soon. I hope to see you soon.